Before we begin, a gentle heads up. This episode includes several audio dramatizations of apologies that go badly. If you're still living close to the wound of betrayal, some of these could be activating. Take care of yourself as you listen. Much of today's content appears in my article, "The Word After Sorry Makes or Breaks Your Apology." And that's at affairhealing.com. I've linked it in the episode notes so you can engage with this material in whatever way feels safest for you. It's early evening, and we're looking in on Ryan and Michelle at their kitchen counter as they finish a quick, quiet dinner. Ryan found out about his wife's affair 3 days ago, and, as you might imagine, things have been tense since then.
You haven't been saying anything about it.
Well, I think I've said plenty.
Well, you've made plenty of excuses.
Ryan, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
For all of it. For what I put you through. But you have to understand, I was in a place where I didn't feel like we...
There it is.
No, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that if I had felt like I could talk to you...
If?
I'm sorry you're this upset. I am. I hate seeing you like this.
Like this.
Well, I'm sorry that things went so far. I never wanted any of this to happen. I said I was sorry.
She did say it, and she wasn't lying. She meant every one of those apologies, but not one of them was received. Saying I'm sorry can be one of the most vulnerable, courageous things you'll ever do in a relationship. When trust has been damaged or hurt has been caused, especially after infidelity, those two words are usually the first step towards repair. People rehearse them. They lose sleep over them. Sometimes they finally work up the nerve to say them, only to watch them fail. For more than 20 years, I've sat with couples in that exact moment when the involved partner has genuine remorse and the betrayed partner is genuinely unmoved, and both of them seem convinced that the other one is the problem. One person thinks, I apologized, and it just got thrown back at me, while the other thinks, that apology was worthless. They still don't get it. Here's what I've learned. Many unaccepted apologies don't fail because the apologizer didn't care or because the hurt wasn't real. They fail because of what came after, I'm sorry. With those two words in, an apology is still intact. I'm sorry. Nothing wrong yet. It's the next word that decides everything. There are 4 words that show up in that next position over and over again, and each one quietly cancels the apology that came before it. And then there's a 5th word, one word that does the opposite. Today, we're going to listen to all 5. I'm Tim Tedder. This is episode 69 of the Affair Recovery Room.
Welcome to The Recovery Room, a podcast presented by affairhealing.com.
In this healing place, in this healing place.
Let's start with the most common word that causes I'm sorry to fail. We'll listen in on a conversation between Danny and Corrine. They're in the living room, mid-morning. This is the 3rd or 4th long conversation since disclosure. Danny is trying hard. Corrine is exhausted.
I want you to know I'm sorry. For everything, I mean that.
Okay.
But I also need you to understand what it was like for me those 2 years. I'm not saying it justifies anything.
Then why are you saying it?
Because I want you to see the whole picture. I was drowning, Corrine. I'd come home, and you were on your phone, or you were with the kids, or you were already asleep.
Oh,
And
so the whole problem is me.
That's not what I said.
That's what I heard.
I said I was sorry. I led with that.
Yeah, you did.
Notice what happened there. Danny wasn't being dishonest. He probably was lonely those 2 years. Some of what he said about their marriage may have been entirely accurate, but that's not the problem. The problem is that when you're trying to apologize, the word but functions like an eraser. Whatever ownership you tried to claim, the but wipes it away. Everything after the word but is the part your partner will remember, because everything after it is the part you clearly came to say. Listen to how it sounds from the other side. I'm sorry, but I was under a lot of stress. I'm sorry, but you were really being unfair. I'm sorry, but that just made me really angry. In every one of those, the apology sounds like a prelude to the real message, your defense. Here's what makes this one hard to give up. Your reasons feel true to you. They feel like context. You're not necessarily trying to escape responsibility. You're trying to be understood. But when you attach your explanation to your apology, you force your partner to choose between the two. And they will always hear the second one as the main point. There's a place for the story of how you got there. It's a real conversation, and you should have it. Eventually. Just don't attach it to the end of I'm sorry. So, the word but is used as a defense instead of an apology. The second word is quieter, and in some ways more corrosive. Let's go back to Ryan and Michelle, the couple that started this episode. They've just come home from dinner at a restaurant. Up until now, the ride has been silent.
Are we going in?
And a minute.
Is this about Doug being there?
You knew he'd be there.
I didn't know. I thought he might be. I mean, it's his sister's restaurant, Ryan. I can't control...
I didn't know that. You could have told me.
Okay, look. I'm sorry if that made you uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable?
Well, I'm sorry if I should have said something. I honestly didn't think it would be a big deal.
Oh, I don't think it was a big deal to anyone else.
Right.
It was a big deal to me.
If makes the apology conditional. It introduces doubt where there shouldn't be any. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry if that came across the wrong way. I'm sorry if it caused a problem. Every one of those is hedging a bet. You're apologizing in case an offense occurred, while reserving the right to believe it didn't or shouldn't have. It starts with something that sounds like humility, but then shifts to what seems more like a shrug. In a fair recovery, if does particular damage, because one of the deepest injuries of betrayal is the loss of confidence in your own perception. Sometimes, for weeks, months, or years, the betrayed partner sensed something was wrong and was told they were imagining it. So when they finally say, "This hurt me," and the response is, "Well, I'm sorry if it hurt you," they're being handed back the very doubt they've been fighting to climb out of. You may not intend that, but that's how it sounds. If you're standing in front of someone who is visibly wounded, there's no room for if. Whatever part of you played in causing the hurt, own it without qualification. Maybe there can be time, later, for a broader conversation, but don't ruin your apology by trying to force it now. So, the word but sounds like a defense, and the word if leaves room for doubt. The third word is one that turns more personal and hurtful. This word makes it feel like an apology turns into blaming. Let's listen in on another couple, just before bedtime.
Greg, I found this receipt. It's from that hotel. It was in the box with the tax stuff.
That's from last year. That's over.
I know when it's from.
Then why are we doing this again?
Because I just found it. I hate that I have to even be reminded about it again. That's why.
Listen, I'm sorry you're still dealing with this.
Still, it's only been 6 months.
Yeah, but I'm sorry you can't get past it. I don't know what else you want from me. I've done everything you asked. I've given you answers. I've given you passwords. I've gone to counseling. And at some point,
Say the rest of it.
well, at some point, this has to be something you work on.
Okay.
That one, it's hard to listen to. It's also extremely common. And I want to be careful here because Greg's not really a monster. He's a man who's been doing a lot for 6 months, and underneath what he said is a real question. When does this end? He says that maybe she has to do some work too. Well, maybe he's right. But all that changed the focus of the apology. His "I'm sorry" wasn't about him, he made it about her. I'm sorry you got upset. I'm sorry you felt ignored. I'm sorry you can't get over this. Each one shifts the focus of the sentence. The problem is no longer what he did, it's how she's responding. On the surface, these kinds of statements can even sound compassionate. I'm sorry you're suffering. But it turns the partner's reaction into a thing requiring an apology, and that's the problem. When we want to avoid focusing on what caused the suffering, we try to shift the responsibility to the other person. When you do that to someone who has already been betrayed, you compound the original injury. They weren't just hurt by what you did. Now they're being told that their hurt is a malfunction. Listen, if they need to take more responsibility for healing, then have an honest conversation about that. But start with a sincere apology. Make sure it lands. Then, in a separate conversation, bring up your concerns in a way that is honest but caring. So, the word "but" turns an apology into a defense. "If" adds an element of doubt, and the word "you" turns it into blame. The fourth word is perhaps the most subtle, and it's the one people least often recognize in themselves. Now let's listen in on Marissa and Jim. It's a weekend morning at the breakfast counter. Jim is 3 weeks out from discovering her infidelity and is still moving carefully, like a man walking on a floor he no longer trusts.
I need to ask you something, and I need you not to get defensive.
Okay.
When you were at the conference in March, was he there?
Yes.
I called you every night that week.
I know.
I told you I missed you,
Jim,
and you said it back.
I'm sorry that things went so far. I really am. I'm sorry that it happened.
That it happened.
Well, I never wanted any of this. It got away from me. I'm sorry that it all came out the way it did.
But who did it, Marissa?
What?
The way you say it, it sounds like you're just giving a weather report.
The word "that" keeps everything vague and impersonal. It points at an event as though it's independent of your cause. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that turned out this way. I'm sorry that isn't what you wanted. You see, that one's a double twist. That and you in the same sentence. But it's the difference between saying something unfortunate occurred and "I caused that." Referring to that removes accountability by turning the focus to something separate. Now, it may sound like a word used by someone who is indifferent. Sometimes, though, the word "that" is the language of shame. Marissa might not be cold. Maybe she's just flooded. Naming what she actually did means looking directly at it, and she can't hold her own gaze there yet. Instead, she offers a passive response because it lets her apologize from a distance. I understand that impulse, but it's not a useful apology. So, "but" is defense. "If" is doubt. "You" is blame. And "that" is detachment. 4 words, 4 ways to stay safe. Defense, doubt, blame, detachment. Every one of them is a form of self-protection. And every one of them diminishes or negates an apology. But there's one more word. It's a word that changes everything. For. I'm sorry for lying to you. I'm sorry for breaking your trust when I told you I was working late. I'm sorry for speaking to you with so much anger. For signals ownership. It keeps the subject of the sentence where it belongs, on you and what you did, instead of shifting it to your partner's reaction or to your circumstances or to the confusion of events. And notice something else about for. It demands a direct object. You can't say, I'm sorry for, and then just stop. The word obligates you to name something. That's why it's so hard. It is an act of vulnerability and humility, and that's also what makes it so powerful. I'm sorry, but lets you explain. I'm sorry if lets you hedge. I'm sorry you lets you redirect. I'm sorry that lets you generalize. But I'm sorry for gives you nowhere to go except into the specifics of what you actually did. And then you have to say them out loud to the person you did them to while they watch your face. Avoiding the use of the word for isn't a vocabulary problem, it's a courage problem. When someone can't bring themselves to say, I'm sorry for, it usually isn't because nobody taught them the right phrasing. It's because they can't yet tolerate looking directly at their choices. That means the work of real apology starts before the conversation. It starts with being able to see clearly what you did and own it without flinching, without trying to make it less significant. This is true of any apology, not just the ones about cheating. When I talk with clients about using the phrase, I'm sorry for, and then being specific about what comes next, they occasionally look confused and say, but I didn't do anything. And sometimes that's the very thing they need to say. I'm sorry for not telling you what was really going on inside me. I'm sorry for shutting down instead of showing up. I'm sorry for not trying harder. I'm sorry for not loving you like I once promised. And, by the way, when you define what you're sorry for, be specific, not general. Get down into the weeds and pull out the words, actions, or failures that you planted there. General apologies only leave room for vague forgiveness. Specific apologies make way for the possibility of fuller forgiveness. Now, let's go back to 2 moments we already heard and change one word in the apologies.
Are we going in?
And a minute.
Is this about Doug being there?
You knew he'd be there.
I did. Well, at least I thought he might be. And I decided not to tell you because I didn't want to have the conversation we're having right now. I'm sorry for walking you into that place without warning you. You should have been able to decide whether you wanted to risk it, but I took that from you.
Yeah.
I should have told you the first time you mentioned going there.
That would have made a difference. Let's go in.
Now let's look back at Marissa and Jim, sitting at the same table, drinking the same coffee.
When you were at the conference in March, was he there?
Yes.
I called you every night that week.
I know.
I told you I missed you.
Jim,
And you said it back.
I'm sorry for the phone calls. I'm sorry for telling you I missed you while I was in a hotel with him. I knew what I was doing when I said it, and I said it anyway because it made me feel less like the person I was being. That's what I did to you.
Okay. That's the first honest thing you've said about that.
Did you hear what changed? Both of them named a specific act they took responsibility for, and then they stopped talking. No big explanation, No clarifying the context, no pointing fingers. They named the thing they had done. They let it sit there, and they let their partner have whatever reaction came next. That's the whole move. Think about the 5 words that come after I'm sorry. But creates defense. If casts doubt. You shifts the blame. That establishes detachment. But for is ownership. Now, let me be clear. For is not a technique. If you walk away from this thinking you've been handed a magic phrase that will finally get your partner to accept your apology, you've missed my message entirely. And I promise you, they'll know it. A betrayed partner can detect performance from across the room. They've been studying you for months. A well-constructed apology, delivered by someone who hasn't actually changed, is not an improvement. It's a more sophisticated counterfeit. And be aware, a good apology doesn't obligate anyone to accept it. You can do this exactly right and still be met with silence or anger or I don't believe you. That doesn't mean you failed. An apology is an offering, not a demand. I've spent most of this episode talking to the person who needs to apologize. Let me say some things to those of you who are in the receiving end of apologies that don't help. If everything you heard today sounded painfully familiar, if you've been handed buts and ifs for months, and you've been wondering why you feel worse after every conversation, I want you to know you're not being difficult. You've been offered something that wasn't quite the thing you needed over and over, and you knew it, even if you couldn't articulate why. A few thoughts for you to consider. You're allowed to point out the problem. Hopefully not as an accusation, but as information and maybe an invitation to try a different approach. Something like, when you say you're sorry and then explain, I lose the apology. I need to hear what you're sorry for, and then just stop there. Many involved partners have genuinely never understood this. Some are relieved to be told. But you're also allowed to not coach. If pointing this out feels like one more piece of work you shouldn't have to be responsible for, that's fair. It's reasonable to bring that into a counseling session rather than into a struggling conversation with your partner. And be careful when a good apology creates pressure to respond in a particular way. You don't owe anyone a particular reaction. You can hear a real, specific, well-owned apology and feel nothing at all, or feel anger, or need a week before you know what you feel. That's all normal. A specific, sincere apology leaves room for forgiveness, but that's something you decide to offer or not. And last thing, watch for patterns more than words. Anyone can produce one good apology. What tells you it's real is whether the ownership holds up over time and whether it shows up even when it's not convenient. For those of you who are giving apologies, I know it's possible to offer a sincere apology and to do it over and over again and still receive no assurance that it will ever be accepted. For all you know, you will never be forgiven. All you can do is your part. Your apology should come from a need to express remorse for what you did. It should not be motivated by an expectation that the other person will quickly forgive you and move on. Deep offenses often require repeated apologies over a long period before they're really accepted. And if forgiveness never comes, don't take away your apology. Always be willing to offer it. But at the same time, you will have to decide if you can remain in a relationship that always takes you back to your failure. Now, let's make sure your apologies are good. If you listen beyond the end theme of this episode, you'll be given an exercise. It's a short one, but it's challenging. I've also added it to the episode notes. Let's go back to where we started, in the kitchen with Ryan and Michelle. Let's hear how that interaction might have gone if she was learning to apologize with, I'm sorry for.
You haven't been saying anything about it.
No, I haven't. I've been trying to figure out how to say it in a way that doesn't make it sound as bad as it is. I don't think there is one. Listen, I'm sorry for lying to you for 8 months. Every time you asked me where I was, I looked at you and I lied, and I got good at it. I'm sorry for letting you think something was wrong with you. I mean, you asked me 4 or 5 times if we were okay, and I told you were imagining things. I knew you weren't.
Why are you saying it now?
Because you deserve to know the truth, even if it doesn't help.
Saying the truth and owning it usually helps. 2 words are where an apology starts. I'm sorry. The 3rd word is where it's decided. But is defense. If is doubt. You is blame. That is detachment. Let it be, I'm sorry for.
Faith over failure, hope over pain, finding the courage to love once again in this healing place, in this healing place.
Here's your apology exercise. You'll need to write, so pause this if you need to gather pen and paper. And if you're doing the exercise as you're listening along, pause after each step in order to complete it. Step 1. Think of an apology you've already given. A real one, to a real person. Write it out, word for word, as close as you can remember. Don't improve it as you write. Write the actual thing you said. Step 2. Circle the word that came right after sorry. Just notice it. If it was one of the 4, but, if, you, that. Notice that too. Nearly everyone has said those 4 words, so you're not alone. If the word is for, did you take specific responsibility and stop there? Step 3. Now, rewrite the apology in 3 separate sentences, each one beginning with, I'm sorry for, and each one naming something specific that you did. Not how the situation developed, not how the other person acted or felt, but what you did. Then, and here's the hard part, end each sentence right there. Nothing after it. No exploration, no context, no, and I also want you to understand, no. Just the named offense, and then a period. Step 4. Now read those 3 statements out loud to yourself. And pay attention to what happens in your body when you do it. Most people feel the urge to add more, to soften it, to frame it, to make it survivable. Pay attention to that impulse. It's the same impulse that will show up in the actual conversation. If you get through step 3 and find you can't be specific, if you genuinely don't know what to name, or you can name the behavior but not why you chose it, well, that's useful information. It's usually a sign that the work in front of you is a need for insight, not wording. The Understanding Why course at affairhealing.com was built for exactly that need. So it may be worth checking out. You'll find a link in the episode notes.